Yeah, I do have you. Can you hear me? I'm good? Okay, good. Thank you. 1098-7654, good morning and welcome to Happy Friday, man. Right now on the National Weather Desk, deep freeze. The northern plains prepares for a blast of Arctic cold. Right now on the National Weather Desk, deep freeze. The northern plains prepares for a blast of Arctic cold, while down under, 10 inches of rain leaves New Zealand's largest city under inches of water. Also, snow safety. Should cars be allowed on the road while snow is still on the roof?
They can certainly make it a law, but I don't see how it's going to be enforced.
The concerns in one state as close encounters with wildlife become more common.
Keep your distance when you see wildlife.
The progress being made at preventing lightning from causing damage.
How does this compare with traditional methods of just building a lightning rod, like a structure?
And why you should check the forecast before you rent a bounce house for your kids.
Even though we thought we were going to be okay, in the blink of an eye, we could have done some damage.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Bone-chilling cold returns to the plains in the upper Midwest this weekend. It will be the coldest air in the region since the Arctic blast just before Christmas. I want you to take a look at some of these temperatures. Saturday temperatures, 21 below zero in Bismarck, North Dakota, 3 below in Minneapolis, 12 degrees in Chicago. On Sunday, it gets even colder with those sub-zero temperatures going as far south as Kansas. This morning, winter storm warnings are posted in several states, including Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. The winter storm warnings out west are causing problems on the road when it comes to driving in Wyoming. These pictures come from the Wyoming Department of Transportation. There is a big truck right in front of this car along I-80. You can barely see it. That's why so many sections of the highway were closed until visibility improved. Severe weather is also causing problems in New Zealand. This is what the city of Auckland looks like today. Relentless rainfall led to widespread flooding on streets, cars, even the airport. And get this, the city matched the average January rainfall total in just 1 hour Friday evening. The mayor declaring a state of emergency as people waded through floodwaters across the city. You can see it there. Fire and emergency services said they responded to more than 400 emergency calls due to that nasty weather. And of course, California saw its share of rain this month as well. While there's plenty of flooding and rock slide damage, the storms also set off another problem: potholes. Take the city of Fresno. It normally receives an average of 50 calls a week for potholes. After a storm, that number jumps to 250 calls a week. But since the back-to-back-to-back storms, the city has received nearly 1,500 complaints. Crews are now pulling 50-hour work weeks to fill all of those potholes.
We know there are many, many more out there. We want to encourage people in this city is to not just drive over a pothole, but to report that pothole once you've gotten to a safe place.
So far, the city has received 19 claims from people who said their cars were damaged by potholes. After a quiet winter, northern New England was hit with 3 winter storms over the span of just 6 days. Clearing all that snow, unfortunately, can really take a big toll. 2 Marines suffered heart attacks and died while using snow blowers to clear the heavy snow. The state's largest hospital reported a spike in patients this week reporting cardiac problems while shoveling snow. It's a good reminder to take it slow and easy while shoveling.
The wetter it is, as you know from shoveling, the more difficult it is, the bigger stress it is on your body, and that relates to a bigger stress test on your heart.
It's not just your heart, but your back as well. Doctors suggest you bend at the knees while shoveling to protect your back. And has this ever happened to you? You are driving after a snowfall and suddenly a big chunk of snow or ice comes flying off the car in front of you? Well, in some states, drivers can get fines for not clearing off their cars, but not in Maine. Mel Meyer says one state lawmaker, though, is hoping to change that.
We've all seen it.
When we were driving yesterday, there was a car that had a big chunk of ice come off the top of it.
Or maybe we've done it. Driven around with snow on the car.
It's always a danger.
Maine drivers are required to keep the windshield, front drivers, and passenger windows clear.
It's a $150 fine. We do enforce that quite a bit.
But
as of right now, there's no law that prohibits the amount of snow on the top of your vehicle.
Representative Bruce White wants to change that.
There's little excuse to have snow built up on your vehicle 2 days after a snowstorm. So this is trying to get at some of those issues.
He plans to introduce a bill that would update a current law about having an unsecured load on your vehicle.
They can certainly make it a law, but I don't see how it's going to be enforced.
Plus, the trucking industry was worried that it would be dangerous or impossible to clear snow and ice off the top of trailers.
My goal would be to address the concerns that we've heard in the past. It's a little more complicated than people realize.
And when you see a snowplow going by, you may be relieved that the roads are finally getting clear. But soon in Massachusetts, those snowplows will get nicknames. It's all part of a contest from the State Department of Transportation called Name a Snowplow. And a middle class from Attleboro entered a winning name. Kel Domowski caught up with the students and teacher to talk about it.
A simple exercise.
My homeroom was with me. I said, hey, let's just do this for fun.
Turned pleasant surprise.
We all forgot about it. I'm not going to lie. We submitted it weeks ago.
Lisa Almeida's 7th grade Attleboro class is a winner in MassDOT's Name a Snowplow contest. The DOT selecting Wamsutta Middle School's creative submission, Snow Time to Lose. It'll soon be one of a dozen nicknames on DOT plows this winter season.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool?
Yeah, pretty cool. I contributed to that.
It was fun. It was cool that to see our name that we won out of a lot of schools.
The 12 winners coming from K-8 classes all over the Commonwealth. Fellow winning names include Sled Zeppelin, Blizzard of Oz, and Sherlock Snows. 12-year-old Sawyer Chandler was the brains behind Wamsutta's submission.
Our idea was to try to have something with no in it and replace it with snow. And I came up with that name because you kind of want to get the snow out of the way as soon as possible.
MassDOT says students will get to see the Snow Time to Lose plow up close. Almeida's classroom also gets a $100 gift card for school supplies, which she's got plans for.
I need some more books. I have a classroom library over there, and graphic novels it's popular with the 7th and 8th graders. They love it. I want to increase my library, my classroom library, with graphic novels.
As for Sawyer, the books can wait. He wants to see his work in action.
I think it will be way more cooler to see it like that rather than just hearing about it.
Now imagine this, seeing a herd of elk chilling out along a major highway or large wildlife just trotting through your neighborhood. Folks have been seeing more and more big animals out and about in Utah recently. There have been some confrontations, and even some close encounters. In one instance, a family dog died. Let's go to Salt Lake City, where Brian Schnee examined what's driving the wild animals from the mountains and closer to people.
It's Mother Nature's cause and effect.
We've just had so many mild winters for such a long time here in Utah that to some folks, it might seem a little, this is kind of unusual.
Over the last few weeks, more large animals such as moose, cougars, and elk are making their way into neighborhoods at lower elevations.
Okay, yep, just right here in Provo.
Like this moose in Utah County.
Oh, Lord. Oh! Don't come near me!
believed to have wandered into a backyard where the moose and a family dog got into a confrontation. The dog didn't survive.
It's a tragedy, but we don't blame anybody for this.
Because of the snow conditions this year, we are seeing more wildlife in lower elevations.
Mark Hadley with DWR, based out of Ogden, says the snow in higher elevations is covering up plants. So animals like deer have made their way into the valleys.
But it is all food related. It's trying to find something to eat.
But deer are still prey, even though they've moved into town.
So I looked over here and I didn't see anything, and then I looked back on my camera and it was a mountain lion, so it was probably within 20 feet of me, and I didn't even know it.
It's an animal following its food source.
Deer are the main animal that cougars prey on. So as the deer come down out of the mountains, the cougars just follow them right down.
Regardless if it's moose, elk, or cougars, it all comes back to food. Since these animals store their food for the winter, every time they get startled or are forced to use energy, the hungrier they get.
The main thing that folks can do to keep themselves safe and also to help the wildlife out is to keep your distance when you see wildlife.
And take a look at this time lapse of fall streak clouds, also known as hole punch clouds. When the planes fly through this layer of altocumulus clouds, water droplets that are already super cooled below freezing, but not frozen, are introduced to ice crystals, which quickly freeze the droplets. So droplets get bigger and start to fall, which leaves a hole. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, bounce houses are popular at kids' parties, but they don't always mix well with weather. We'll talk with an expert about ways to keep your kids safe. Plus, a look at how scientists are using lasers to guide lightning.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have high temperatures in the Northeast today, running in the 30s and low 40s. I think it's a pretty nice looking day. We should have fairly bright skies across the area. There'll be more clouds, perhaps a few snow showers going back into New York there. A very weak front brings with it the chance for a few morning snow showers Saturday. Most of Saturday is going to be dry with a lot of sun. And as we go into Sunday, we'll introduce some more clouds. There's a chance for a period of light snow, especially north, and some light rain over southern areas.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Most of us are looking at clear skies as we start the day. Clouds will continue to dissipate as we head into the afternoon, and it will be a rather pleasant day with temperatures close to average. We will, though, get ready for the next weather maker as we head later into the weekend. Sunday is when to expect the next chance for rain. As we head into the afternoon, temperatures reach the 30s and the 40s. Then numbers fall below freezing overnight.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed taking a look at your forecast for today. Those temperatures are going to be in the mid-50s in Nashville, 58 in Tupelo. Atlanta, cool 51 degrees, as well as Raleigh. Jacksonville, 61 degrees, 66 in Tampa. Looking at 66 down in West Palm, 70 degrees. It looks like we're seeing mainly clear conditions. A few high, thin clouds around Tennessee, but mostly sunny conditions as we look across the southeast through much of the day. And it looks like we'll stay through the overnight, heading into dry conditions for parts of the weekend.
Watching the National Weather Desk.
Welcome back, everyone. Ben Franklin invented the lightning rod in 1752, but since then, there has not been much progress in the science of redirecting lightning. But recently, a group of scientists atop a mountain in Switzerland were successful in using a laser beam to deflect lightning. Emily Gracie spoke to the lead researcher about how this idea came about and how it can be put to practical use.
So this project is some kind of realization of an idea that was proposed in the 70s, actually. It was proposed by a researcher in America just after the invention of laser. And he had the idea to use a big laser to create some conducting channel with the laser in the atmosphere and to use it as some kind of a lightning rod, so to guide lightning. And in the 90s, there was development of a new laser technology that was more efficient to generate very long plasma conductors in the atmosphere. So we had the idea to use this technology to make a special laser for this experiment. And we organized this big experiment on top of a mountain where there is a lot of lightning. And this allowed us to demonstrate for the first time with this big laser that we can guide the lightning with laser.
Does it work for all types of lightning?
So for the moment, we only demonstrated cloud to ground lightning. And actually, we only managed to guide one kind of polarity, which is called a positive polarity. The cloud was positively charged. But we don't know if it's because we just had 3 events or it's because it only works with positive polarity, actually. It's difficult to know because we don't have enough statistics.
So how does this compare with traditional methods of just building a lightning rod, like a structure? What's the difference? What's the benefit?
So the idea of our laser is to make an extension of a normal lightning. And this extension could be several hundreds of meters or maybe a kilometer. And with this, in theory, you should be able to protect over a very large surface, like a kilometer. If you want to protect an airport or rockets on a launching pad.
Head over to YouTube to see a longer version of this interview where Aurelian addressed the question of whether this technology will ever be able to control lightning at the source by seeding clouds. Just search the National Weather Desk and hit the subscribe button. And of course, lightning is not the only threat that weather can bring. Wind has caused the deaths of 28 people and almost 500 injuries in one of America's most popular kid party attractions. We're talking bounce houses. And even on a sunny day, danger can be just around the corner. As meteorologist Ryan Miranda reports, a strong wind can send you and your family flying dozens of feet in the air.
What would you do if you saw your children being rolled around in a bounce house?
There's nothing that scares parents more than the idea that a child will be in something that seems safe and fun for the kids, and then all of a sudden you see this thing flying in the air and you think, oh no.
That's John Knox, one of the writers of a recent UGA study reporting 479 injuries and 28 deaths worldwide from bounce house related accidents since 2000. And while that number may seem low, Knox says the damage can be substantial.
There have been cases of bounce houses flying into electric lines and shorting out the power.
Even in seemingly perfect weather, crisis can strike. This is one of the most common conditions, making up almost 19% for a bad bounce, according to the UGA study. Knox says this is because despite sunny skies, winds after a cold front can still be gusting up to 20 miles per hour, strong enough to end a good party. The best thing Knox says to do is to stay weather aware, but emphasized even that may not be enough.
But the problem with that is that most people don't know how to estimate wind speed. And they also don't have anemometers in their pockets unless they're nerdy meteorologists like us. And then another problem is that if you check the Weather Service observations, for example, the winds at your house may be very different from the winds at an official observing station. Have fun. We're not saying don't have fun, but just make sure that your bounce house doesn't become an airborne object, either with or without kids in it.
Well, recent winter weather dropped snow on the Midwest and the Mideast and also the Northeast. But in places like Green Bay, winter has been mild overall. Meteorologist Christian Palacio takes a look at how this winter stacks up to the last few years so far.
This winter so far has been seemingly milder in terms of temperature and snow amounts. And I wanted to look at the average temperatures, precipitation, and snowfall totals from the last 3 winters. The mean temperatures have been above the all-time average. 2019 to 2020's average was 24.3 degrees. 2020 to 2021's was 22.1 degrees, and last winter's average was 20.6 degrees. Notice there is a bit of a cooling trend, but so far we are way above average, sitting at 26.6 degrees. Now looking at precipitation, 2019 to 2020 was the wettest season with 5.15 inches, while 2 winters ago was the driest at 2.52 inches. And this time we are at 2.9 inches, and it looks like we may have a chance to get closer to the average. And for snowfall totals, 2019 to 2020 was also the snowiest season at 43.5 inches, while 2020 to 2021 had the least with only 25.6 inches. This winter, we have accumulated only 18.4 inches, which is nowhere near the average of 32.8 inches we should have accumulated by so far, but we still have until the end of February for all these totals to add up.
And now for some celestial news that's really high in the sky. A Japanese telescope captured this glowing spiral in the sky. Experts say the spiral-like formation usually occurs when parts of a satellite dumps fuel or generates a trail of exhaust while rotating. Similar events have been spotted before, including shortly after a Falcon 9 launch last year. Now, researchers say this spiral seems to be related to the recent launch of a new SpaceX satellite. Now, let's take a look back at this day in weather history. From January 27th through the 29th of 1922, a deadly blizzard pounded the upper South and mid-Atlantic states, one of the biggest storms ever to hit Washington, D.C. Meteorologist Emily Gracie has more.
On January 27, 1922, a slow-moving low-pressure system moved up the East Coast. It dumped 28 inches of snow on Washington, D.C. As the snow was winding down the evening of the 28th, nearly 200 moviegoers braved the elements to see the silent comedy Get Rich Quick Wallingford. The elegant Knickerbocker Theater was located on Columbia and 18th in the Adams Run neighborhood. About halfway through the show, the theater's flat roof succumbed to the weight of the 2 feet of snow that had fallen and collapsed onto the audience. 98 people died and 133 were injured, making it D.C.'s deadliest disaster. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
And as we head to break, we have a look at the Stony Creek River in southwest Pennsylvania.
Happy Friday. I'm meteorologist Phil Kelly. Some warmer air starting to work its way into the central part of the country. Up to 48 today with mostly sunny skies in Kansas City, 50. And St. Louis, some colder air still in the Ohio Valley. We do have a system tracking its way through. We've got some snow showers in the Great Lakes. Do have a little bit of a wintry mix by the time we get into Friday night. And then keeping our eye on this system. This is going to come through on Saturday and Sunday across the area.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. A little chilly this morning all the way from Amarillo into Oklahoma. 20s and 30s there. 50s on down toward South Texas and over toward Louisiana. High pressure still in control, so that means we're going to see plenty of sunshine today. But later on in the afternoon, we'll see those winds come back out of the south and southeast. That means Gulf moisture comes back and the temperatures really begin to warm as high as into the 50s all the way north into Oklahoma. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Friday morning to you. The final Friday of January, by the way, and it's certainly going to feel like it over the Intermountain West. Just 26 out of Jackson Hole today, and then upper 30s out of Missoula. Some light rain passing through the Emerald City on its way into Portland, and look at that, 69 degrees in the sunshine out of San Diego. Current weather maker, this round of snow dropping down from the Bitterroots into the Rockies as we head into the weekend. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Swaths of the country have been dealing with snowfall this week, but downwind of the lower Great Lakes, a winter storm plus extra bursts that showed up with the lake effect snow band. Also in Michigan, this barn appears to be either relaxing or hanging on by a thread. Now to central Maryland, where snowfall in some places coated the grass, roads, and streets earlier this week, but didn't hang around too long before the rain took over.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
We've seen some intense weather systems move across the country this week. Let's take a look at some of the photos that you all captured. This outdoor light in Maine looks like a crystal chandelier, but it's actually a regular light that nature decorated with icicles. How cute. And here's what the drive home looked like along D Avenue in Kalamazoo, Michigan. A lot of snow there. This viewer snapped a photo near whiteout conditions near Happy, Texas. That's just south of Amarillo. Well, we'd love to share your weather content right here on air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, including, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk, or you can use the QR code on the bottom left of your screen. We will be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.